One thing Lamont Roach had that plan is he didn't get the Mike Tyson effect. People go in already beaten and scared. He came in like, I'm focused, I'm a dog, and this is my time. And
fight fans, welcome back.
114, even a draw. The decision is a majority draw.
A controversial announcement that echoed throughout the Barclays Center.
I told Lamont won.
You thought Lamont won?
He knew it. We knew it. They knew it.
That saw a boxing kingpin escape his first loss in the most controversial of fashions. High-stakes chess with a sprinkle of preformed animosity, but a night that will ultimately be remembered for all the wrong reasons.
Take a knee like that looks like a knockdown, all right? How do you go and get your eye wiped in the middle of a round?
What the just happened?
Just as resilient, durable, and sharp as he promised, Lamont Roach's career-defining told-you-so moment just entered the history books.
I told y'all from the beginning, man, that I got the skills to pay the motherfucking bills.
Giving him VIP access to boxing's top table.
I told him to go out there and be great, and that's exactly what he did.
There it is, series of left hands, and now Roach is talking back, okay.
Very few of us saw it coming, but in hindsight, the warning signs were there. So before we analyze a very uncertain landscape, let's take a moment to look at just how Lamont Roach Jr. just shocked the entire boxing world.
We're at the end of the journey now. The fight's over.
Oh, it's far from over. It's far from over.
I feel like because they have experience with each other, Lamont might know some things about Tank that most fighters don't know.
First, it's the most obvious, and it's the schooling, the experience, and the familiarity that came with this particular matchup.
Both of them having that skill, that's probably the first time that Tank's fought somebody that came up with that skill set.
Before Roach, Frank Martin had used past sparring success as ammunition, but this one was different.
They've spent time in camp together. He's been around Tank. He's seen Tank up close and personal. That changes everything, you know?
The pair had fought twice as amateurs. They'd spent a ton of time together, and Roach Sr. had even trained Tank for 2012's national title.
None of his personal coaches was there, couldn't make it at the time, and we had a fun ride on winning, you know what I'm saying? I like to say I helped contribute to that.
A stylistic knowledge, albeit a decade old, that would prove invaluable.
Don't get greedy when you're in the road.
Don't get greedy! Lamont's down telling his son.
Interestingly, in the opening presser, Tank used Senior's shaking as a sign of nervousness.
I'm gonna let y'all know, son. His father was up here shaking on the what's the name? He was shaking on the
Pops!
Little did we know that was probably the most confident man on stage.
When I asked your brother what was 2025 going to look like for No Excuse, he said your father would become coach of the year.
I said that too.
Absolutely.
I've been saying that. That man a genius, man.
Whether he's in the ring with them or not, that matters. And Lamont is a DMV fighter himself, which means he got that dog, you know?
Thanks to that familiarity, the fear and intimidation factor that usually surrounds Gervonta Davis fights never quite arrived.
It ain't intimidating. It ain't. I'm here. This one I'm supposed. Like I said, this one I'm supposed to be at.
And despite those subtle confidence boosters that Tank usually secures, like Frank's flinch and Ryan's weight drain, Lamont gave him nothing. It was an unwavering self-belief that carried into the fight.
And Roach still talking to Tank.
If it became a battle of attrition, he'd got enough grit.
Roach hit him with his best punch.
If it was a battle of skills, he'd got enough tricks.
Whatever the case may be, whatever I gotta pull out my bag of tricks to win, that's what I'm gonna do.
And if it got dirty, he'd got enough dog.
This arena is on their feet right now.
All of which proved correct.
I've interviewed a few different Tank opponents, but it just feels like you have a different confidence than most other people. Where do you feel like that comes from?
With Shakur Stevenson in Tank's eyeline, the pre-fight narrative transformed Roach into little more than another tailor-made, hand-picked opponent.
He doesn't have a chance. The only person that could have beat Tank was Ronnie. I can tell people that.
Merely representing another routine box tick with a trademark body lick, and a celebratory backflip.
You saw what he did to Ryan Garcia. You saw what he did to Frank Martin.
That said, while the lights maybe hadn't been quite this bright, Lamont had been here before.
I've been there. I've been on Canelo cards, Triple G headline. I've been there. I've been through the press runs, the media runs. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot more, but I'm ready.
And the implications of that little routine trip to the Barclays for this DC Dynamo were far, far greater.
When he fought me, he couldn't do shit. Couldn't do nothing. And trust me, March 1st, we're going to do the same thing. I've been here before.
With a blemished record and nothing to lose, we saw a wolf in sheep's clothing approach the apex as an entire boxing journey rolled into one make-or-break moment.
For Lamont Roach, he knows that when it comes to beating Davis, it's not about just skill, it's about flawless execution under constant pressure.
I'm not sure which member of Roach's entourage it was, but that humble pie quote has become iconic overnight.
That humble pie gonna be mean, Slim. For sure. That humble pie gonna be mean.
I can't. I can't.
And if it's not ringing in Gervonta's ears for the next couple of weeks, it probably should be.
We was talking in like the 12th round, I think the 12th or 11th, but he like, you ain't gonna win. I said, shit, why not? What you talking about? They like, man, ain't gonna give it to you.
It's a dish best served cold, and with Roach referencing Tank's diva antics from Christmas time cancellation taunts.
Next year, I'm out of it.
After our second fight.
Swerving the media workout.
Gervonta, Tank.
TBE statements.
I feel like my skills is way better than like Floyd.
And picking the round.
I say 9th round.
It would all come back to bite him.
Dude, did Lamont Roach just do that?
Never expected Roach to be taking these shots and countering and answering with his own big shots.
If he was overconfident, it's likely to have stemmed, as it often does, from the ownership of that rare get-out-of-jail-free card.
You can't fight the power!
The one-hitter quitter that had kept the record squeaky clean, erasing all those shaky moments and slow starts.
Mario Barrios also had a good start. That was at 140. Again, but how did those fights all end, guys?
Tank's bag is full, and he's far from one-dimensional, but it can't save you every time out. So where Lamont ate some of those same shots, remained airtight, and just kept coming, Gervonta would eventually run out of ideas as the curtain closed.
Is Roach about to offer the mother of all upsets here in Brooklyn?
I think he felt my power too. Like, I think that's what negated a lot of his shots. And once I took his best shot, I was like, oh yeah, it's time to roll.
He stood in front of him, took his best shot. He was standing in the pocket, blocking, throwing back. You know, he gained a lot of fans tonight. I'll tell you that much for sure, 100%.
As a whole, it's less about what Gervonta did badly and more about what Lamont did great.
I think Lamont Roach had a frustrating style. You know, he's technical and he does some frustrating shit.
There it is. He timed it right. Counterpunch him and the uppercut.
After all, triangle theories are a long-forgotten concept in boxing, and anyone can run into the wrong style at the wrong time.
I got a question. You got any excuses tonight, Roy? Let's not ask questions like that. Let's touch the left go work.
So this might just be another of those circumstances.
Lamont Roach had always been good. He had always been good, and he had the right style. The styles make fights.
Roach eating some big shots and coming right back.
Lamont Roach's style made that fight what it is.
And what it does mean, though, is that Tank versus Shakur or Tank versus Lomachenko are completely different fights with an entirely different set of problems.
If I'm Tank Davis and I'm coming off a disappointment in terms of my offensive output, I'm not going straight to the best defender in the division. Let's see it again.
Would you say, Lamont, you've now shown the world the formula to how to beat Tank Davis?
Maybe not. I mean, I'm me.
In a perfectly executed and well-rounded performance, Lamont took some of the best parts of each past opponent and adapted it into what they already knew as a team.
As a sparring partners, who did you use to mimic Tank's style?
Tank has a
different facets of himself in the ring. So we use multiple sparring partners. We use Shaquille Daly, very fast, very twitchy. Daytwan Young from Philly. Jonathan Lopez, who's fighting on the cards, open up the TV.
Most notably, like Barrios, he utilized his physical advantages early, applying the jab and maintaining distance.
Right now, Roach being smart with the pressure.
Come on, breathe, man. Stay focused right here, y'all.
Like Cruz, he applied pressure in spurts with a bit more method to his work.
Roach is standing strong at the moment, just not landing much in return.
And where Frank started to feel the pace late on, the Reaper stayed well within his limits.
I'm not sure what kind of conditioning Lamont Roach did, but whatever it is, I salute him. Because everyone else at some point past round 7, you know, normally when fighting Tank, they die down.
To ensure that, if there wasn't already a blueprint to beat Tank, there is now.
Boy, listen, all the talk throughout the years, what you would do against somebody like Tank, your style versus his, was that not the blueprint?
I think Lamont showed exactly who he was and what he said he was going to do.
He's earning Davis's respect. That counter right, backing Davis up.
The best fighters are those who can stay calm in an uncalm environment, those who can think logically and solve problems amidst the chaos. And the most impressive part of Lamont Roach's performance, for me, was the patience. Not trying to fill those quiet moments with filler punches or stay busy work.
Letting his punches go, beautiful combinations from Roach.
Not being pressured into throwing and only engaging when necessary.
He's got to change the script. Make Tank Davis feel that, make him make mistakes.
It originally looked like Shakur might be the only fighter with the awareness, the experience, and the cojones to fight in such a composed manner against Tank.
I was on time, and especially like in the perfect moments to land beautiful shots. Some of the shots that might have stumbled him or visibly hurt him.
But we learned a lot on March 1st.
Lamont Roach came to not only fight, but came to become a champion.
Having battled back from his own loss 5 years ago in Fresno, Roach made a promise to himself.
When I actually accepted that loss, for real, I knew I ain't never want to feel like that again.
And it's a night which, paired with a scrape past Hector Luis Garcia, probably made him look just the right amount of beatable.
You are much better than I originally thought that you were, and this is based off maybe the defeat to Jamel Herring and watching that fight. I don't know. But I went into that thinking this was going to be a rinse and repeat Gervonta Davis performance.
But his commitment to the sport and refusal to give up embodies everything good about the sweet science. And now, with his willingness to face anybody and everybody, the best might even be yet to come for DC's new superstar.
We're at the end of the journey now. Fight's over.
Oh, it's far from over. It's far from over.
Davis took off some of the steam of the punch, but still, Roach leaned with right.
He took a knee.
He took a knee.
And you don't want one little decision to change the whole fight. But in sports, sometimes it is one thing that a referee does that determines who wins and loses.
As the controversial decision rang out, disbelief was written on the faces of both combatants.
Draw!
After all, nobody likes a draw.
This is officially a draw!
However, in the aftermath, one was certainly a lot more grateful than the other.
Yeah, it definitely changed my plans. It definitely changed my plans. I probably got 4 more fights now. For sure.
Rate the performance.
Story. Roach won the story.
Roach won the story. He didn't get the win, but he won the story.
Those who called this one right have just gained a huge amount of credit.
You know, Tank don't want to submit, lay down. We're going to put him down. But overall, he's going to get ass whipped.
The rest are going to have to take it on the chin.
And if any of y'all had me getting knocked out to all this, I'm going to go back and look at y'all pages. I promise you.
You threw punches and you landed more punches than Tank. How were you able to do this tonight?
And regardless of whether you saw this one as a shock the world moment or a televised highway robbery, there's a ton of lessons to be learned.
It's all about showing who's the best. It's all about good competition, and that's what I'm on. I'm in here trying to prove that I'm the best.
And hopefully now, with blemishes on the two faces of boxing, the unbeaten Mayweather paradigm can be replaced to allow for this new golden era of boxing.
Yeah, they might as well give me the star of my own documentary. I'm young enough. I got a hell of a story.